saw that.
Yeah.
That's right. Actually. Since you probably won't be needed at the mic today anyway, huh?
No, the only thing I got really is that maintenance agreement. It's usually on consent, so.
Good evening, everybody. It is 5:15, Thursday, August 10th, 2023, and we are at the Capital Improvements and Street Maintenance Committee of the City of Wausau meeting. We will go to item number 1 on the agenda, approval of the minutes of the July 13th, 2023 meeting. Alder Denny.
Move to approve the minutes.
All right, thank you, sir. Do I have a second anywhere?
I'll second move.
Thank you, Alder Hinkie. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that motion passes unanimously. Number 2, we have a public hearing vacating and discontinuing an area of right-of-way abutting 505 South 21st Avenue, a portion of 509 South 21st Avenue, and a portion of 514 South 21st Avenue, and a portion of 2111 Stewart Avenue. Is there anybody here in the chambers wishing to speak on this item? Yes, sir. State your name and your address, please.
Sure, my name's Tom Renens, 4080 North 20th Avenue, Wausau, Wisconsin. I'm here on behalf of REI and the Godorsey team, speaking in favor of the vacation process. Brief history of the project area. We started this project back in 2006 when those buildings were originally constructed. And at that time, rewind the clock, I'm old enough to remember when that was Highway 29. That was a route going out of town. And so this area, this corridor has always been slated for commercial development. And in 2006, when we placed the buildings on there today, we realized we were going to be kind of challenged for parking, but that was the land that was available to make it work at the time. And since that time, the buildings have been constructed. The Army, Navy, Marines, and Air Force have moved in. They're great tenants, and we want to support their effort. They also have service vehicles that they use in their recruiting efforts, that they go to the high schools and out to the community. And so when they each have 3 vehicles in the parking lot, as well as a trailer, it adds additional stress to the parking field. And so we're interested in creating some more parking in the back. We're interested in removing the home located on 22nd Avenue. There's been a single individual living in that home for a period of time. That home is now under a contractor owned by the Godorsey team. It's in some serious needs of repairs. It's at the point of tear down. And so we'd like to keep the home that's also owned by the Godorsey team on 21st Ave. So we'd only lose one home. Again, this isn't to talk about the site plan. We look forward to working with the neighborhood on the site plan at the appropriate time, pending the approval of this evening's actions. In my understanding, we'd become before the Planning Commission for the UDD process in September, pending tonight's approval. So I'm here for items 2 through 7. If there's any questions I can answer, I'm happy to do so. But we're here in favor of the vacations.
All right, sir. Thank you. Do you have any questions for anybody? Have any questions for the fellow from REI?
Move forward with the public hearing, then once we
Oh, yeah, right, you're right. I guess we should move forward with the public hearing and ask if there's any other people in the chambers that would like to speak on this item.
Can we just ask a question? Not really want to speak on it, but
You have to come up to
we do- I've never been to.
Right.
I'm Mike Watts, 515 South 21st Avenue. So we just wanted to make sure, or understand that we live at the end of that, right behind the bank. And the ladies across the street, or Godzgorski's, I think, or whoever you said owns that or whatever, they're not going to be coming after our homes right at the moment. I mean, they're just going to move back another, what, 9, I can't remember, I don't have the.
Speak into the mic, please, sir.
I don't know what the, can I have the paper? We just want, I mean, a lot of people in our neighborhood's been asking questions because we're, oh, okay, thank you, sir. Okay. This is 21st. Well, this answers my question right here. So, I see this map right here, so then that's all, then we're good with all this. Okay, never mind then.
All right, thank you.
Because we couldn't make sense of all this, the wording in this, the way it was worded, on how far they were moving things. And so we just wanted to make sure, but this one is good. Never mind. Sorry, folks.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair,
Yes.
I think I would, for the record, I think it would be interesting to know what his question was and exactly how it was answered, because other people in the neighborhood what was your question that was answered by
How far
our,
back they were coming into.
Step up to the microphone,
sorry.
please.
How far back they were coming into on our street, on 21st? Because we're the very last house. And the ladies that live across the street from us, I don't know their address, I don't pay attention to that. We're at the very end. And so we weren't quite sure how far they were gonna take close, come back towards our homes. And so, because when they first did all this, they moved it, all the where the bank is, they moved that driveway, their parking lot, all the way to 2 feet away from our house, our family's home. It's not, so, and that was convinced, they moved it back another 4 feet so that we have 6 feet on the side of the house versus 2. So we were just trying to make sure that we weren't having the same problem again, that this was gonna come back, and then we're gonna have a fence right against the windows of our houses, like it was the first time, so. But his map shows clearly on there that's not gonna happen, so we're good with that. And I can explain it to the ladies across the street, not the ladies, but the other 3 neighbors of mine. So, they're elderly people and they're not gonna come down here, so. But did I
Thank-
clarify that?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any other person in the chambers wish to speak on this item in the public hearing?
We all did get a letter from one of the neighbors. I'd like that entered into the public record. It's in our mailboxes right now, from one of the neighbors. So if we could do that.
I did not go to my mailbox.
I can give like a brief high overview of it, if that's all right. It's a long one. They just expressed concerns about past projects not fully coming through to fruition with these commercial properties. They do like the proposed green space. They're going to be the last house at the end of 22nd Avenue. First of all, let me start there. They also just wished to say if we could go to a 8-foot high fence, that would be awesome. And any way to slope the parking spots downhill so that the lights don't shine into their windows as much, and as opposed to the slated fencing, privacy fence that is still there, if that could be a solid privacy fence, that would be another thing that they would like to see. Yeah, and then they just wish that Gadorzi be a good neighbor and keep them involved in any plan changes. That's the gist of it.
Alder Rasmussen.
Thank you. I think this looks like it was well thought out. For years, I was at,
We're still in public.
oh, I thought we
Point of
closed the
order,
public
sorry.
hearing.
Oh,
never mind
No,
then.
we did not, we did not.
Okay, I'll wait.
Yeah, anybody else in chambers wish to speak on item number 2? And going once and twice, and I will close the public hearing and I will open it up for Alder Rasmussen.
Okay, thank you. So from the look of the way this is drawn, just because it's got the buffer, it says proposed solid fencing on the plan, which is a plus. For a number of years, I actually, my former office was in this area, and where privacy fence had been erected behind a commercial building where a neighborhood was butting up to it. And at that time, that fencing, and that was behind the Galleria on 24th Avenue, that fencing was 6-foot wood sections. It was slatted like the writer of the letter had described. As it aged, there were times where sections would be knocked down, they'd fall down. They'd put them back up, they'd put a new section in here and there. The wooden fencing wasn't ideal. If there's a better product that exists now that they could use, I think the Plan Commission should ask about that. I think, we're not going to decide the materials here, but I think it's conducive to use a little more solid and sturdy material than what was put up in the late 90s. But the way this is drawn, it seems like it would be okay, and it does give them a lot more parking to the back. These front spaces are often full, so I would move to approve this item.
Thank you, Alder Rasmussen. Any other
I
committee?
would second that.
Second that, Alder Denny? Any further discussion on item number 2?
I guess,
Yes,
I-
Alder Henke?
so this is in my district. I guess, what is a setback for a fence on a lot line right now in the city? Trying to remember when we put ours in. I think it's a foot.
No, they can be right on the property line.
It can be.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. So any buffer we could do there. They also mentioned something about I was reading this more, trees being removed. So any tree or landscaping that could be put into that green area, shrubs or something to help with noise and light, I would like to see. I guess these people don't like it, but they're reasonable, and I think if Gadorzi is nice and works with them, I think we can have a successful outcome here. So yeah, just keep the neighbors attuned to what's changing. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm still new at the game here. This we're talking about is item 3 on the agenda, by the way. So, we've had a motion and a second on item 2 and item 3. Can I have a vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I have
Aye.
a question.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Alder Gisselman, I'm sorry.
Over here. Just with regard to Ari, so what does Gador, and the map, can we have the map on the screen? Because I'm confused exactly what Gadorzi does own. Does he own then the shown map on South 22nd Avenue? Is that, and then you had mentioned, and I'm concerned our map doesn't have the numbers of the lots. So I'm not sure what, when the agenda speaks to the specific numbers on South 20, I'm not sure what that's meaning, because the map that we got is,
So Godorsky owns 514 South 21st Avenue, and I believe 505 22nd Avenue. And those are the two homes, and so the home on 514 would remain, but we would just take some of the property from it, but when we redivide it, it still would be a conforming lot.
I just drove by it, Gary. There is a house where that proposed green space buffer is right now that I assume is going to get tore down.
That would be demoed, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to the out north there.
Well, somehow I feel we haven't been given enough, because our maps are not showing. I can quickly go to a current GIS map, but because I'm concerned then about the house that shows on our map that's still there. So that is not a good, is that a Godorsky house on South 22nd?
Do I have permission to
No.
approach
Yeah,
Mr. Gissman?
yeah.
That is not,
That's the owners of this letter that was
Pardon?
written.
So this is the home, this is 514 South 21st. So Godorsky's own this home, and there's a home here at 505.
okay, but you do not own this house.
This house, no, we do not own. We're not going into that property.
And that's the owners of that road.
Right.
The letter for our
Okay, I
mailbox.
think I've heard enough. Thank you. I'm concerned, I thought maybe that was the case, and I will vote against this. I feel that that's really too much of too much moving into that fence, into that neighborhood. I'm concerned about how the neighborhood, again, there's some reactions, and a couple other things. I'm concerned about the water coming off of that proposed parking. I'm sure that there will be water basins, but I feel that this plan really brings that plan really too close to that house, and I'll be voting against this.
Thank you, Alder Gilselman. Any further discussion on item number 3? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No,
No. That passes 3-2. On to item 4. Public hearing vacating and discontinuing a portion of alley north of Wagner Street abutting 503 South 22nd Avenue and a portion of 514 South 21st Place. This is a public hearing. Does anybody else wish to discuss item 4 on the agenda? In the public chambers, anybody going twice, 3 times? Okay, I will close the public hearing and go on to item number 5, discussion and possible action on vacating and discontinuing a portion of the alley north of Wagner Street abutting 503 22nd Avenue and a portion of 514 South 21st Avenue. Is there any discussion or is there a motion?
So this is the piece, this is the alley piece that's in between these homes, right? Same project? Because the
Same.
map in the packet looks like it's the same map.
Yes, it's the same project.
Same project, but there's a piece between 22nd and 21st that's alley, right? Like where they,
That is correct,
okay.
yes.
And so that's set to be just green space. I'll make a motion to approve that.
Motion is made by Alder Rasmussen to approve item number 5 on the agenda.
I'd second. I'll second
Second
that.
by Alder Denny. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
no.
No. That passes 3-2. Thank you. Item number 6. Public hearing vacating and discontinuing an area of right-of-way abutting 503 South 22nd Avenue, a portion of 211 Stewart Avenue, and a portion of 2205 Stewart Avenue. Is there anybody in chambers that wishes to come forward and discuss item number 6? Going once and twice and, okay, I will close the public hearing for item number 6 and move on to item number 7, discussion and possible action vacating and discontinuing an area right-of-way of abutting 503 South 22nd Avenue and a portion of 2111 Stewart Avenue and a portion of 2205 Stewart Avenue. It's open for discussion. Alder
I'll make a motion to approve this one as well. Same project, obviously, this just probably deals with a little piece of the street at each end. And then the maintenance of that then would revert to the owner as well and away from the city. So I'll move to approve that.
Thank you, Alder Rasmussen. Alder Henke, you had your hand up?
I just had some discussion if
You have?
Doug wants to second it.
No, I'll second it.
Okay. Thank you, Alder Denny. Alder Henke.
So this is the one right by the property of the people asking, and I really struggle with this one. Yeah, if there's anything we can do to keep as much green space on their side of the fence as well, I don't know. And that fence looks very tight to where it's right on their property.
Yeah, at this point, we're showing 6 feet off, but we could move the fence further. What we had talked about was doing the fence a solid fence and have plantings in between the fence and the property line.
Yep.
But if that landowner is more comfortable, we can move that fence in,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Anything, yeah, north of as much as we could.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, I'm sure they would be okay maintaining that on their own side.
Yeah, if you could provide us with a copy of that letter and
Yes.
the contact information, that'd be helpful.
Yep,
We
yep.
can reach out to that party.
We can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you.
Alder Denny.
Yeah, Lou, thank you. I have a question on how we're going to terminate the end of that 22nd Street. Will people be coming down there and turning around in that resident's driveway, or is there going to be a cul-de-sac or an area for them to
I
exit
believe
that?
that road is already closed off, isn't it?
It's a dead end.
Yeah,
It's a dead end right now.
because my ex-in-laws used to live over in that neighborhood.
Okay, so then it doesn't pose any additional burden on them for traffic turning around there and,
I don't believe so, but
Okay.
this gentleman, you can come up forward and,
Yeah, I'm Mike Watts again. I live on 21st Avenue, the last house. When they put in the parking lot for the alley, the bank and all that, they originally put the fence right on the property line, and they were gracious enough to move it, and our fence is 6 feet away, just to let you guys know. And we're happy with that, because it's not a fence right outside of our window. But we constantly have people coming through our neighborhood. They see a big metal gate at the end of the street, and they still come down, and then they have to turn around and go back. And where there's a pedestrian gate, we have people that go through that pedestrian gate on motorcycles. So it says somewhere in there that they were gonna vacate that, to do away with the, being able to go through, which would be helpful. But there should be signs somewhere saying dead end street or dead end something, or, because I've been working on my boat in the front yard for the past couple of days, and I can tell you, I could probably count 7 people that pull in, go to the end of the driveway, end of the road, have to turn around and come back out. So it is an issue. So even though that they've already been closed off.
I see Mr. Lindman is making notes here, so perhaps he can
So,
He
but
can make sure there's some dead-end signs posted on that street at some
But when
point.
they did the other construction, they were very helpful, and they did move the fence for us when,
Thank you,
when my
sir.
brother-in-law had the house,
Thank you.
so.
I will say I just drove down there, and you can make a Y turn at the end of the road without going into driveways.
That'll be coming, that'll be disappearing. Where you went in, you drive a little red car?
No,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I went down 22nd Avenue,
Okay.
and at the end of there, the street is wide enough to do
Yeah.
a wide
Ours
turn.
isn't. You go down and they got 2 little parking spots at the end of the street. And they can turn around there and everything else.
Okay.
But what they're suggesting, or what they're doing, and they're gonna move over there, it's gonna be, that will go away. So there won't be any way of them turning around. You know, the trash trucks have to come up, and then they gotta back out, and then they gotta turn around and come back in to go to the other side. And so does the plow trucks, so,
Yeah.
you know, that's just part of the life or whatever, but, they'll be doing away with that turnaround, so I don't know what they're gonna do. Signs would be helpful.
Yeah, we can certainly take a look at that.
Any other discussion on item number 7? We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor of item number 7 signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No,
No, that passes 3-2. We will go on to item number 8 on our agenda, presentation on new DPW fleet maintenance facility, Variantos design.
Well, thank you, everyone. My name is Neil Beerworth, and to my left is Patrick Wesley, and we're excited to present our design development progress on the proposed repair facility at the old Ironworks site. Our team members, so myself, I am acting as the project architect for the project, and Patrick Wesley is acting as the project manager. We have teamed up with Clark Dietz, who is acting as our engineering consultant. Our scope of work highlights basically what we have done is we have developed a survey of the existing site. We have assessed the existing structures, determining work to conform and comply with regulation. And our ultimate goal is to create a final design architectural package, including all plans for site, floor plans, elevation sections, and demolition. And at the end, we would like to discuss a cost estimate for both building and demolition. Our engineering team, our civil team, they are going to produce preliminary grading, paving, and drainage plans, along with stormwater calculations. Our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineers, they're going to document demolition as well as create system narratives for the design. And our structural team is assessing existing builds we want to keep and then developing narratives as well. Barrientos has been working with the city of Wausau for the last 5 years. In 2018, we performed a facility conditions assessment as well as a space needs study. And then in 2021, we teamed up with Mercury, and they determined that it might be more efficient if the motor pool division and DPW operations acted separately. And then in 2022, our team evaluated other sites throughout the city to determine the best for each scenario. And then today, we are presenting our development of the repair facility. So an introduction to the project, the city of Wausau has commissioned the Barrientos to develop a preliminary design of a new repair facility. This location is at 1100 West Street. It is 6 acres and is zoned as medium and heavy industrial right now. Our project schedule, we began April 1st, and we are set to conclude work on September 30th. The existing site, so as you can see on the image on the right, you can see it's the old ironworks. And basically, it has several building typologies, including the office building, a couple additions from a metal building and a warehouse. We have the old ironworks factory, as well as separate shop building, salt shed, and a motorsports building. The site is bordered to the north by the railway, and to the south by West Street, and to the east by South 10th. Our site development so far. So right now, we are looking to keep the existing office building for the ironworks, the warehouse metal building, which attaches to the old ironworks warehouse, and then the motorsports building, which will act as a storage shed. We are proposing to demolish the ironworks warehouse, the salt shed, the shop building, and the metal building addition. Here's a map of the demolition compared to what we want to keep. So what's highlighted in blue, 1, 4, and 7. So on the bottom right, you can see the office building. The top right, you can see the storage shed. And on the top left, you can see the big metal frame structure. These are what we want to keep. And we are proposing what's highlighted in red, which is basically the old ironworks building and the salt shed, number 6. Looking at this now, this is our proposed site plan for the new repair facility. As you can see, this takes one large parcel and two adjacent parcels, which are smaller to the east. We are proposing having the repair shop directly connected to the existing office building on the southeast. Then you can see a proposed wash bay connected to the repair shop. On the left, you can see the existing parking structure. We are proposing building out as well as keeping some of the portions to accommodate to what we want the building to accommodate for the facility. In between those two buildings on the southwest corner, you can see a proposed fuel bay, which is right here. And then the main circulation, we wanted this fuel canopy to be separate. That way both DPW and repair individuals can access that. That way they don't have to go within the site. And this would be more concrete. That way it can handle more of that circulation. And then as you go north on the site, this would turn into asphalt, as there would be less circulation here and storage. To the very north, we are proposing the retention pond. This top right parcel, we are proposing turning it into additional parking for the facility. And then the bottom right here is basically, it's been recently done. It's existing parking, which has 8 additional parking stalls, and that would basically be as is. In between the repair facility and the existing storage shed, we are proposing, there is existing parking here now. We are proposing adding some additional spots here, so the total would be 12. There's also a storage or a trash enclosure and a generator location here. To the very south on West Street, we are proposing a large 200-foot wide curb cut. This is because this facility repairs a lot of heavy-duty vehicles like plows. And so our standard is to have at least 80 feet for their turning radii to comply. And so adding this curb cut would give good access to these heavy sections. Here, you're looking at an aerial with a Google Maps background of our proposed buildings. What I'm going to discuss first is number 1, which is the existing parking structure. So a little description about it. This facility will basically be used for seasonal parking. This will typically rotate depending on what season you're in. Our goal is to have this tempered temperature control, which means we're going to maintain 55 degrees even in winter. Our goal is to keep the metal frame structure, which you can see in the top 2 images, and portions of the existing slab. We have yet to determine which portions we want to keep or eliminate, but our goal is to keep some portions. We want to keep the west wall of the parking structure because, going back to here, it directly abuts the site boundary line. And so if we were to add a different type of wall, it would most likely go over that property line. Oops. This is that west wall you're looking at here and an exterior view of it. Basically what we would do, because we want temperature control, much of this building is not insulated at this point. And so we would want to add insulation to this metal portion on the top, as well as insulation to the bottom CMU. The other walls to the north and to the east, we are proposing on replacing them. So as you can see, this is the east wall, and this window, it might not show up the best, but these windows are in very poor condition. Much of them have been broken through, and much of these walls have no insulation on them, so it's impossible to control them with temperature. And then this is an interior view of that east wall as well. You can't really see it, but these windows have been covered up by metal panel, very cheap and poor construction. We would like to remove all existing utilities that are not used in this, like there's small cranes, there's electrical lines, there's water lines. Because they're not used, we would have no purpose for them, so we are proposing to remove them. There are separate heating units. They are yet to be determined if they're functional, but if they are functional, we would propose on keeping those. Here is a floor plan of the parking structure. So on the left, in the red, you can see the north wall and the east wall. We are proposing on demolishing that. We are keeping the west wall. And then because this section directly attaches to the Ironworks warehouse, we would create a new wall there to enclose the facility. And then down the middle, because this is a parking structure, we are proposing on creating a trench drain, which would be about 20 to 25 feet wide, just because in winter, when the trucks are coming in or for parking, this gives it, instead of standing water, this would give it a place to go. And then on the right, you're seeing our proposed floor plan, which shows an overhead door to the south, an overhead door to the northeast, and basically we have the parking stalls going both directions. That way trucks can enter or exit on either side. And then there would be additional storage on the top for anything. Here are some proposed elevations. So what you're seeing on the top, this is the north elevation. So we're proposing on redoing that wall. And to match the west wall, which has about a 15-foot CMU concrete base, and then the rest of it to the roof is metal, we are proposing to keep that aesthetic going. So you can see that from the north elevation, and here's the south elevation, basically the same concept, just adding that overhead door and the smaller door. This is the west elevation, so basically these portions down here, we would be keeping these, and we would replace the roof. Our determination based on the roof right now from our visuals, because we have no as-built drawings, we are unsure if it's even insulated. It looks very thin, and so there would be need to be further exploration on that, but we are proposing right now to replace it. And then here's the proposed east elevation, matching that same concept of the concrete to the metal, and then the proposed new roof. And then we're proposing additional skylights in the roof, as much natural light as possible, and a concept of additional windows on that wall as well. All right, so we're going back to the same area. It's kind of hard to see, but now I'm going to discuss the existing office building. Okay, so basically this portion would serve all admin and crew functions for the facility. Our biggest determination to make this building ADA compliant, there is no elevator in this existing building, so we would propose adding some sort of elevator or simple lift to make this accessible for anybody. The first floor, which is the basement, that would have direct access to the shop, would have all the crew functions, and then the top floor, second floor, would have all administrative and private offices. And then you can see this is some exterior shots, so that's that main entrance. This is the second level, which shows these offices have been recently redone. So these are in very good shape. This is the bottom section, so this is an existing bathroom for the crew, and then this would be like a proposed locker room. It's an office right now. And then these images down here, there are a couple sections on the bottom level where it would need to be refinished, so you'll see in future slides we are proposing on redoing some areas. This is the second level, so this is our demolition plan. We are proposing removing some things, but not a ton. Removing this wall would add a big conference area. This would act as the elevator or lift lobby, and then there would be some additional demolition for the receptionist and adding a kitchenette here. This is where the crew functions, the lower level would be. Basically what we're doing is we would blow out these two existing walls. This would become a kitchenette. This would be that elevator / lift lobby. And then those images I showed you about those unfinished spaces in the bathroom, we're proposing demolishing some facilities in here and adding new items. This new slide, so this is the second floor. This is that conference room I was talking about, our proposal. These would be the two private offices for the analyst and the director. Here's our elevator lobby. Centrally located is the existing bathrooms and lobby. This would be the receptionist, and then a admin lunchroom and kitchenette. The bottom level, this would act as the crew lunch area. We have a file storage section here, adding a kitchenette and the elevator location here. And then, so here's all the crew functions. So you have the women's locker room, the men's locker room, and then this bathroom is existing. We are proposing adding a shower area here for the men, shower area here for the women, and this would become the women's bathroom. So now I would like to discuss our last one, which is the big repair facility in the middle. So description, basically this will include all repair functions, including all repair bays, wash bays, and welding. We would like full heating and cooling temperature control, so air conditioning as well as heating in the winter. We are proposing 2 wash bays, 2 welding bays, as well as 14 total service bays, which will include 10 dedicated heavy duty bays, which are for like plows, and then 4 light duty bays, which are for like your pickup trucks. There will also be an area for parts storage, hydraulic hose shop, bulk fluids, and a mezzanine above the shops. This is our working plan. So over here on the right is that existing office building, and that lower level directly attaches to the repair shop. I'll start on the left. These are our two proposed wash bays. We have one automatic, which will be, you just drive straight through and act like a car wash. There'll be an underbody wash too, getting the bottom of the vehicles as well. This is the manual wash bay, which also might include an underbody wash, but then there's also abilities for just manual washing in there as well. Directly connecting to the wash bay, now we get into the main shop. This would be the welding area. And then here's our 14 heavy-duty bays. We are currently showing 2 lifts, 2 in-ground lifts, a 4-post lift, and a 2-post lift here. And then everything over here includes our parts storage, our bulk fluids. We have our supervisors and file storage offices here. And then we have general like mechanical, water meter room, mechanical and electrical rooms there as well to service the new building. This is our first iteration of elevations. So basically what we're showing on the top is almost like a half sawtooth design. So basically facing the south, we would like this roof to be sloped just because in the future, if you did want to put solar panels up there, we would like to give that option for direct good sunlight facing the south. And then to the right, we are proposing it to be flat, which if you put it far back enough, you could put solar panels there as well. But because we want to have as much natural lighting as possible, we would like to add a clear story here in that division, which you'll see in an image shortly. Here you were looking at the south elevation, so basically all these doors would be clear, and so direct sunlight. And then we are proposing large windows above each of these doors, getting as much light as possible. So here's our first iteration of the renderings we did. We have received comments from the city, and we are currently working on making updated images just for their preferred aesthetics. But here you can see our clear doors and large windows above. This entire building would be precast preferably. And then you are showing a larger window, kind of signifying that connection of the office building to the new building. Here is a southwest image. So now you can see the wash bay, how it connects to the building. And then here you can better see that typology of what we're trying to do here with the clear story. And then here's our first interior image. Obviously, you're not seeing the structure in there yet. So this is what it could look like. As much natural lighting as possible, and as well as having that clear story facing the north. And now, so these are our first iterations of the cost estimates. So we teamed up with Wolverine Construction based here in Wausau, and they were able to perform a demolition assessment of our work, what we want to do in the parking structure, as well as on site with like paving and everything. So their total came in at $1.4 million. And then to the right, you're looking at our building cost estimate. So we teamed up with a construction consultant who we've worked with in the past. And we received this yesterday, so this is yesterday was our first time seeing these numbers, but their proposal for the total cost would be just under $24 million. So combining all of that, we're looking at a total of just over $25 million, including demolition and building. And this does not include purchase of the property or consultant fees. So that is it. Thank you. I would like to open it up to anybody for any comments or questions.
Thank you. I have some questions.
Sure.
First of all, the wash bays, are they going to be big enough where you can, say, run a fire truck through it?
The width, yes. We need
And in length?
length for sure. So right now we have them at 90 feet wide. That is more than capable of having a fire truck go through them. And right now we are showing 16-foot tall doors right now. I believe if we want a fire truck, they would probably have to be taller, probably at least 20 feet. The current company we are talking with, they do make 20-foot tall doors, and I think that would accommodate.
Okay, and my second question would be, I've toured the old facility, and one of the biggest gripes is that there's not enough bays. That if they're working on a vehicle and it's waiting on parts, then the thing sits there and there's no room to bring other parts in there. Is this maintenance facility, when you say it's going to have 14 bays, is that going to be large enough moving forward, say another 30 years, where if the vehicle ends up in there being, say, for a few days or a week waiting on parts, it's not going to create a problem for space for, you know where I'm going.
Sure. Eric, correct me if I'm wrong. Currently, you have 8 to 9 mechanics. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
So normally, Barrientos standard is to have 2 repair bays per mechanic. So if we do have 9 mechanics, there would be 18 total bays. However, with the width of the site, if I jump back to the site plan here. Come on. Yeah, so if we add 2 bays, our standard is to have those at least 26 feet wide. And so that would add another 50 feet to the width of the building. And if we do want the fuel station right in the southwest corner here, that would compromise that section. So we went with a goal of about 1.5 bays per mechanic. And so basically, if we have 9, there would be about, let's see, 18, there'd be about 14 bays, 14 to 15 bays. So that's where we came up with that 14 number.
And one other question is, another question, when I toured the facility, one of the mechanics, one of the workers' biggest gripes were hoses laying on floor, that they're tripping over when they want to make oil changes and stuff. And we, Eric and I, a couple years ago, we toured the Peterbilt shop, and they had all their fluids up above, and they had all their hoses hanging up above, so there wouldn't be anything on the ground. Can you explain how that's going to work in this new facility?
Sure. So if you look at the image right here, so basically what we were proposing is what you're talking about, all like those bulk fluid lines and everything. We are proposing mounting those off of the crane columns, which this will be a structural column. But basically, our goal is to keep everything elevated and have everything off the shop floor. That way you minimize that issue you're talking about. And so basically what would happen is we would run those lines overhead onto the roof, and then they would come down on the columns to where those bulk fluid assemblies are. And then when a mechanic would have to use it, they'd basically just pull it down, and then it should minimize its effect on the shop floor.
Thank you. Any other questions from the floor?
Just one. How many service bays are in the current building that we occupy today? Was there 6?
So, 6.
6. So, I mean, even from 6 to 14, what a dramatic difference. I think,
Yeah.
and I think that in terms of size, the current facility, though, does it include locker rooms and shower facilities?
We do have locker rooms and shower
Okay,
facilities.
I wasn't sure
Yeah.
where we were at with that. And we do have male and female accommodations at that facility now, because we've had trouble at the firehouses with.
Correct, we do.
Okay, so we do have
Yeah.
both. Okay, that's good, just to make sure that
Yeah.
we're not missing anything there. Okay, that was my only question.
Alder Denny.
Just a question on the setback on West Street. So the existing building's right up close to the street. We're setting back a little further. Is that to accommodate that apron in the front, or is there any way to use more of the property?
Are
kinda
you
close?
talking
On the south side, in that vicinity, right?
right here? So are you talking, why didn't we go up to the setback line? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if you look at the existing building is right on the sidewalk practically there. So,
Yeah, so I would say, yeah, because like we are proposing on demolishing that building, the reason why we can keep this building structure in the setback line is because we're doing work to it and we're proposing on refinishing it. But because we're proposing on demolishing that existing Ironworks building, we would have to comply with setback regulations. And so basically, if it's a new building, it's got to be within those limits. And so, yeah, we just got to keep it within that line. And also, pressing it back this far, it gives us access because we want these pull-through bays. It gives us enough turning radius for the trucks to back in and out without going onto the street.
okay, so then with that added setback, is there space there to park vehicles? Or would it be necessary or practical to be able to park vehicles outside there, the bays?
I mean, I know there was a discussion at last meeting that we were talking about having a drop-off location right here. I suppose that if the facility understood that, like, there might not be a lot of movement there, they could park trucks there. But if you do park a truck there and you need to back something out, it might limit the ability for the truck to get out of the facilities, because it would, instead of 70 feet, it would turn it into 50 feet or even less.
Yeah.
And so it would become pretty difficult. However, this space here, we determined that this is like our additional like service and auction parking, and we've mapped it out because we weren't going to paint lines here. I didn't show them, but we've determined that there'd be about 14 to 15 parking areas here for plow trucks, and there'd be about 11 to 12 here. So we're talking about 30 large stalls for parking on the site.
Okay, and I had one more question, is that potential, there's some good property next to us there. If we were to ever acquire that, is there any way to future-proof this and to potentially add on there? Or is that not worth looking at right now?
Are you talking to the west?
Yes.
Over here?
Yep.
Our previous studies did look into that. I saw that there was some demolition work, and that site is pretty open right now. I don't know if something's being developed there right now.
I believe it's owned by the county. So the county demoed all that.
Okay. I mean, to answer your question, yes. I mean, if, like, with this preliminary design effort from us, like, we're showing what we can do on this site, but if this city would choose to further explore adding that additional parcel, I mean, we're pretty, tight on room here. You can see a little bit, but definitely using that land too would greatly, enhance the site for parking, fuel, everything.
I believe there's also land across the street that the city could acquire if need be for parking and stuff.
Yes.
Go ahead, Alder Denny, or go ahead, Alder Gisselman.
Yes, thank you. On the site isometric map that you show us?
Yeah.
I thought I saw solar panels, but I guess that's not solar panels on the top of the new facility?
They are. Yeah, these,
They are solar panels. So we would be ready to install that kind of array. Is that just a small array, or how much can we anticipate a solar array on that roof?
basically what we would do is we would design the roof to be able to withhold the load from those additional solar panels. And so, like, I know if the city of Wausau, if you did wanted to add those in the future, that's the purpose we would do. How much you could add to that is yet to be determined. Patrick, I know you did a little study on that. I don't know if you have an answer to that,
Yeah,
but.
I mean, it's rough. I forgot the square footage, but it's essentially 4 rows.
Mhm.
Especially you have the split there that kind of shades some of them. So you can put a lot of solar panels up there. I'm not sure exactly at this point what it would power. What you get from that. Discuss that further.
So how is that something that you do, or do we have to most likely inquire elsewhere for that type of thing?
Come on up to the mic and speak, sir.
Well, I'm just,
Yeah,
one,
no,
I'm,
that's-
just thinking that, we may be thinking about this in the future, and, the alternative energy, the city of Wausau is studying this, so, I think we have to ask the questions about how we're going to be prepared for this, when these decisions are being made.
Yeah. I don't want to speak out of context, but maybe I'll follow up and see what we're obligated and what's in the contract as far as how far that sustainability package
I understand that.
is going to
So-
go. So, but yeah, if so, we could take it a step further and just see how much, what do you get out of the amount of the amount of solar panels that we're showing up there. And then you want to maybe explain some of the other sustainability features as well with the electric vehicle driving.
Yeah, so I kind of skipped over it. I'll go back to the site plan here. Yeah, so we are proposing as well, because everything's going electric, including all types of vehicles. And so basically what we are showing, it's kind of hard to see, but on the very left here, just to right the existing parking structure, we are proposing having 6 to 8 electric charging stations for the
You
park.
answered my next question.
Okay, yeah. We are looking into that. So yeah, the biggest things we looked at is electrical charging right now. We looked at possible solar panels, how can we configure the building to maximize that potential for the future, and as much natural lighting as possible, minimizing the effect of, temperature control inside the facility as well.
So there's a variety of different charging stations, so in the field, and I'm not very familiar with that, but there's a common, because most likely, hopefully, into the police vehicles, fire trucks, the rest of our fleet eventually, just so that's somewhat accommodating, I think, to the variety of those But thank you for answering, thank you for doing that, because that was a question that I was going to also ask with regard to charging stations.
Yeah, I would say right now, maybe if we wouldn't put it in right away, we would at least have the connections out there for the future. So then let's say you did get electric plows or electric police cars, then you could put the different types of stations you need at those locations. They're probably different sizes because it's different vehicles, but we would at least give the option to place them there.
Okay, thank you.
I have one other question. Might be stupid, but why the retention pond and why so big? Why is it taking up so much space?
Basically, with any new developments, pretty much anywhere, there needs to be somewhere for stormwater to go. And so basically, with the existing buildings, yes, they take up a lot of space on the site, but these were built 80 years ago, and regulations for stormwater were nowhere near what they are now. And so with any new, depending on how much surface area you have, with new structures or structures you're building out, that determines the size of the pond. And so what you see right there, our engineering consultant, our civil team, is presenting their first go-around of stormwater calculations to us this Wednesday. And so we'll have a good idea of how big that needs to be. From what we know right now, they have told us, yes, that is plenty of room. And so, I mean, it could get smaller, but right now it's kind of acting as a placeholder. So we're leaving enough room, worst
Okay.
case scenario.
All right, thank you. Alder Hinkie?
Just to piggyback on what Gary was talking about, and we've had this conversation with the water plant, do we learn from our mistakes and just put the solar panels into this project?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things, I think at a minimum, we would do it like add alternate bid, and so we would bid it with the project, but as an add
At least
alternate.
at least as an option.
Yes.
With,
Yep.
it would be this much more to put the
Yes.
solar panels on there.
Yep.
I'd also just like to comment on, I like how the windows in the front
Okay.
kind of match similar to what was there already.
Sure.
I picked up on that right
Keeping
away,
that
so.
industrial
Yeah.
look. Yes.
And then I guess I just had one question for Dustin. Does this give you everything you need?
Yes, this would definitely push us into the future. When Mercury did their study, I know we talked a little bit ago about the number of bays, and they said anywhere from 1.5 to 2 bays is really optimal, what you want for a facility, and this would get us where we need to go. It gives us the space for our mechanics to work.
And admin and
Yep.
everything else you need? Okay, you're happy?
Yes,
Okay.
this would be a huge improvement.
All right, thank you.
Alder Rasmussen?
Thank you. Do we have a guess on how much extra those solar panels would be to put them in up front? I mean, we know that with this guess at 25 million, that's not including those. I mean, are we thinking a couple million, 5? I mean, where does that fall normally on a building of that size?
In the cost estimate we received, I wasn't sure if our consultant called out solar panel like a quote, how much. So I'm not sure how much it would cost. I mean, would you have an idea?
No, and that's when I saw this cost estimate come in yesterday, that was actually one of my first questions. And then, so we plan on following up with Cross Anderson, who did the cost estimate,
Okay.
and just clarifying some of these items.
Yeah, because I think that's a huge number for us. I mean, when we first started to talk about this, which it's taken us 2 years to get here, our first pass at this was that we were going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $15-16 million, and now we're 10 million over that, and we know that that's the direct result of waiting and inflation. So, the more we can get on the front end, the better. I think this particular project, the request that was put in for CIP was one of the highest rated of all, and I believe CIP's recommended to move it forward, which is the first steps of getting this to go live. So, I guess if we could at least get that number and know how much more. I mean, if it's, already we're at a $10 million overage. So, is it 1 million more? Maybe that's not so bad. If it's 6 or 7, maybe we're stuck waiting, but I'd like to know those numbers.
Are there any other specific items that you can think of now that you would like to see broken out?
Solar was the number one question because, when we put up Firehouse number 2, in the 12th hour, somebody said, gee, that should have solar panels on the roof. Well, we were way too far down the road
Yeah.
to get them put on. Then we built the water plant and somebody said, well, that should have had solar panels on it. And now we're fighting with the neighbors to put them in the ground. So, I think that the better we do on the front end, the better off we'll be. I mean, we kind of were trying to, as an organization, figure out if there's even things that we can retrofit here to reduce our power costs. Is there room for panels on this building? Is there room for panels at the wastewater facility? On stuff like that where you're retrofitting, you're backing into it and the cost is maybe even worse. So I would love to know that number on the front end. I think that's something that, if we're going to go and have a conversation with the community about a build of this size, I think they would appreciate the fact that we've been future-looking enough to incorporate those features that people like. So,
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you.
we'll follow up with the city
Yep.
staff on a breakdown.
agreed. No, great presentation, though. I'm excited about what I've already seen. I think the layout is good. I think the drive-through bay is a must. With the struggles they have to turn stuff around now,
Right.
it's going to be like a whole new world for them. So,
Oh, and the wash bays.
oh my, that too.
The wash bays, yeah.
Wash bays have been on CIP 3 times and have never been funded at the current site, so this would be
You know,
huge for them.
It's important to have those, to keep our equipment nice.
Right.
And I would also, say thank you. I thought it's very impressive. And to Eric and Dustin, this is going to meet your goals for another 30, 40 years. We don't. And I'm assuming that the Myron Street location will probably stay as is, and when this is all said and done, more of our equipment can get inside instead of being outside, laying in the elements. And anything else you'd like to add, Mr. Barrientos?
Thank you.
Is that good?
All right.
Thanks, Neil.
Oh, Alder Gissman.
Awesome. Yeah.
With regard to the elevator to the office, I think really that's really quite critical, I think, for the ADA because I think that on grade and then that, I don't know if it goes down, if you're anticipating that the elevator, not only on grade, but onto the upper level, what about to the low? I anticipate a complete elevator serving all three levels, or is it just pretty much the 2 levels, the ground on grade and then the first level?
Yeah, so basically right now where meeting the street where it is, it's kind of like where you would access the elevator. It's kind of 4 feet below the second level and 4 feet above the basement level. And so what you're talking about there, it would give access. So basically the lift would go 4 feet up to the second level and 4 feet down to the crew level. So we would accommodate all levels.
All
Yes.
levels. Thank you, thank you. I'm sorry, Don.
No apology
Sure, yeah.
needed, Mr. Gissman. I guess we're all excited to see how this goes because it's sorely needed for this community. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
I guess it's a presentation. There's no action being needed tonight, so thank you for that. And with that, we will move on to item number 9, and that is discussion and possible action on parking restrictions on 600 block of Washington Street. And who has this? Alan, he's not here.
Right, so I'll take this. So this stretch where it says it's 15-minute parking, there's been a request to remove the 15-minute parking and just have traditional parking spaces without the 15-minute restriction.
Why does the staff staff does not have an issue removing this situation? Okay. Alder Henke.
Was this a loading zone at one time?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Was this a loading zone at one time, or I guess what's the history of that 15-minute?
I don't know, maybe just a drop-off or
Okay.
a short, and I don't know if it was ever like, specific for a loading zone and it changed to 15-minute in the past. I don't know what the history is there.
So are the businesses and stuff here requesting that this be changed, or?
It is one of the businesses, yes.
I guess with that, I'll move to approve this.
Okay, motion is made to approve item number 9, discussion and possible action on park restrictions on 600 block of Washington Street. Motion been made by Alder Henke and second by Alder Rasmussen. Any further discussion? Okay, then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I will vote for that as well. That passes then. Discussion and possible action on stormwater maintenance agreement with RJ Elm Properties LLC at 1520 Elm Street and 1401 Elm Street LLC and at 1601 Elm Street. This is item number 10.
This is just our standard maintenance agreement for any site requiring stormwater facilities. I reviewed this and recommend approval.
Thank you, TJ. Any discussion? Yes, Alder Hanky.
I'd just love for this parking lot to get in ASAP, because Elm Street is a disaster right now, driving down that. It's fortunate that we've had that construction there, because I think it would have been a bigger issue had that street actually went all the way through, so. With that, I'll move to approve agenda item number 10.
Motion to approve agenda item 10. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Alder Rasmussen. Any further discussion? Okay, then, all those in favor of the motion number to approve item 10 signify by saying aye.
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 And any opposed? And that passes as well. On to item 11. Motion for adjournment.
I'll move.
Second.
Motion is by Alder Hinkie and second by Alder Denny for adjournment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None as usual. Thank you, everybody.